video in the introduction to Shell, and at the moment I'm logged into the machine, and you can see here that our prompt is the very informative -bash 4.1 $. Doesn't really say anything, it's not particularly useful. And what we're going to do in this video is set up our prompt so it becomes more useful. It gives us some feedback as to what we're doing, where we are, and things like that. Now the shell has what is known as an environment variable, which is a variable that the programs read to configure how they work. And the prompt is controlled by a variable called ps1. And if I edit my bash rc file, I'm going to use Vi, I recommend you use the Genie editor. I can set this by using the export command. Export is defined to set a variable within the user environment. So I'm going to set the variable ps1 and I'm going to set it equal to hello John for now, and if I close that and source my bash rc file, you can see now my prompt is hello John. If I change to another directory, my prompt is still hello John. Not particularly useful. So the nice thing is we can change it to be something actually a bit more useful. And there is a whole series of different variables that we can add into this that will make the prompt a lot more useful. And the first one I'm going to use is the /u variable, which is short for username. And a whole list of these will be linked in the text of the blog post. And there's also instructions in the Unix workbook on my website. The next one I'm going to put in is /h, which is short for hostname. So now when the prompt works, it's going to say user@host. Next, I'm going to get it to report the current directory that I'm in as well. And to do that, we use the /W. And finally, I'm just going to put a $, at the end because the prompts with a $, is quite useful. You can change it to something else if you wish. It's up to you. Cent is sometimes used. For now, though, I'm going to use $. It's fairly common, and it's what I'm used to. So, at the moment, my prompt says hello John. If I resource my bash rc, you can now see it's a lot more informative jmacy@w2301. Now you may ask, why do I need to have my username now? Because I know who I am. And yes, for most users, you may not actually need that. But for me, I have the ability to change it to various other users so that I can do systems administration. So for me, it's actually very useful to know who I am. So for example, I can change to another user by entering in the sudo command, and we should be able to see that once I do that, it will change into the administrator user, which is actually going very slowly now. And that should allow me to see that I'm now logged in as root on that machine rather than any other user. For some reason that's been very slow. There we go. Let's just log out again. Try it again. There we go. So now you can see I'm logged in as root at this machine. The other reason why this is useful is because I don't necessarily always know what machine I'm at. So if I change into another machine, you can see now I've logged into this machine 32301 rather than the machine 232, and so on. So it's very useful having this. Also now, if I change directory, you can see the current directory I'm at, and for example, if I change to another directory like that, I can see that I'm at the root of the current directory. I tend only to use the root of the current directory when I'm doing this. There is an option to actually log in as, or to show the full path of where we are. That's lowercase w. Now if I do that and resource, we can now see that if I change to the ASD directory and the include directory, you can see that I'm getting quite a full path here. The problem with that is that if I start descending into lower directories like this. Python 32 you can see that these paths become quite long. It takes up the real estate of my shell. So I tend only to have the smaller final current path that I'm in. So you can always use PWD. And again, it's up to you. You can customize this as much as you like. You can actually execute commands, and I've linked in an article that shows that in the write-up as well.